What's up, studs? If you're listening to this, you either are or want to be a stud with selling in the construction industry, and we're glad to have you here. Ryan, my astute co-host, owner of 944 Video Media.
I'm getting a better intro each time.
Well, I mean, you've earned it.
Oh, thanks.
You've sat through enough of these at this point. So today, guys, what I want to talk about, what we're going to talk about is how to properly break the ice / introduce yourself to a prospect or marketplace, both in person and online with content and social media. I think this is a big challenge, specifically for a lot of non-business development professionals, specifically in the construction industry. Once you kind of switch into that sales role, a lot of people struggle with just how to get out there, get in front of people, communicate, the networking, the prospecting, potentially door knocking even in this industry. And your ability to properly bridge the gap of that communication barrier with a prospective client, whether it's in person or online, is the difference between somebody building trustability and likability with you and you being shut down immediately.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing that a lot of people struggle with is that voice that they want to portray, because they want to say a particular thing, but it's not necessarily what's going to be the best. And, you know, they don't understand how to get their message out there, the right message in front of the right person at the right time. And that's generally what I call marketing.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a few tactics and some mindset shifts as a listener I want you to start to implement immediately. And I think Ryan will probably have some opinions on these. First is you have got to change your mindset around it's not how it makes you feel, it's how it makes your client feel.
Right.
It's not how you perceive it. I'm going to give you two examples of that. The first is if you're starting to increase your average project size, you're starting to level up from, let's say an average project size of 2,500 and you're trying to get into larger scale remodels, your ability to confidently present yourself, you have to take yourself out of your shoes. And the biggest hurdle, and I dealt with this when I was selling retail world, was your client's budget comfortability does not match your own bank account.
This is a great thing that you brought up that honestly, we go over the topics of these podcasts like a minute before. So he's actually, poking things in my brain. When I own my gym, I did not start with personal training. We did not have personal training at all. And I was like, this is stupid. There's no way anybody would ever come out and pay $60 an hour to train with me, $70 an hour to train with me. It's just stupid. Why would anyone do that? Because I wasn't able to pay that myself. I was earning $35,000 a year owning a gym.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford that. And so I was like, there's no way anybody else could afford this. I offered it. The first person I pitched it to was like, that's a deal. That's cheaper than anybody else I've seen around here. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just started making $60, $70 an hour when as a struggling gym owner, I was only making $35,000, $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
No, and that changed the revenue of my business big time to earn a lot more than $35,000, $40,000 a year.
For me, it was the transition. So if you don't know my background, I worked at Verizon Wireless for the beginning of my career for the first 9 or 10 years. And I was around when smartphones and tablets came out. And I went from selling a flip phone for $29.99 to you need this tablet for $1,000. And similarly, like I was only making like $50,000 a year and spending 51. So, I didn't have the money for $1,000 piece of equipment.
You weren't your own target client.
So that is it. You are not your target client. Very rarely as a remodeler are you the person who would hire you. Right. You're targeting, and when you're selling yourself, you have to present it to a marketplace who can afford you at the price you want to charge, because I promise you they're out there. The higher up the echelon you go, the smaller the market is. But in general, there is a large enough market for you to make money if you're reasonably priced for the value you're providing. And the biggest issue I see with people is they end every proposal with a question mark. They have no preconceived notion that they think it's going to happen. And this really shows up when you're going from like smaller jobs and you're starting to try and scale your business. You were a handyman, now you're trying to do GC work. That is really where, like, when you're used to selling punch list and now you're trying to sell $100,000 kitchens, you're a little scared.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little unsure if you're worth it. You're a little unsure, are you priced correctly? So every time you present something, there's no confidence there. So like when
here I got a question for you, and I don't know this about what you teach. Do you teach people to sell, how am I trying to put this? Do you teach them that you need to have the sale or in your brain you already have the sale before you offer it?
Yeah, so I mean that's generally broken down to the term of assumptive sale.
There we go. That's what I was trying to get out. But
yeah. So I mean it's definitely part of the talk track. Like you have to assume that you did the right due diligence ahead of time to find the right person, to find the right projects. You have to assume if you present a good client experience proposal, fairly priced, that you should win it. So assumptive selling is a tactic because it's a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you're introducing yourself to a new marketplace or you're introducing yourself to a new type of client or a new client in general, you want to assume they're excited to see you. You want to assume they want to hire you. You want to assume, and when you do that, it puts your mindset in a much stronger position because then you're not I think this happens a lot. I think maybe more in relationships, specifically when you're dating, is if you think somebody's not really into you, you kind of look at everything they do with the filter of they're not really into you.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with a client. If you walk in like unsure you belong there,
they can feel it.
They absolutely can feel it.
Right.
And if they can't feel it in that meeting and you're the first person that met with them, they're going to see the difference in the next meeting with the person they meet with.
Confidence in sales goes a long way. If you just walk in very, very confident, knowing that you already have the sale, you're going to close significantly higher percentage just being confident. You're not as afraid to lose it, so you approach it. It's the typical fake it till you make it. You know, these really confident people don't necessarily know what they're selling, and they might not have a superior product, but if they're very confident in their sales pitch and they already assume the sale, they generally do really well.
So let's play devil's advocate to that. I'm not suggesting you go out and sell a shitty product and service confidently and try and take advantage of people, but when you go out and you don't believe in yourself, you're going to struggle because if you don't believe in you, I promise you they're not going to believe in you because they're expecting a certain level of confidence, a certain level of professionalism, a certain level of you're going to guide me through this process. And if you're going in unsure if you even know the process, go ask somebody.
And this is a absolute wild tangent off of what our actual topic was.
Not really. So
bring me back in here then.
I'll bring you back in here.
Because I'm lost.
The confidence level, right? So when you're going into and you're approaching a new type of person, you have to have the mindset of the assumptive sale and the mindset that you belong there so that when you present yourself and you're breaking into that new environment, you're confident enough to know that you know your shit and you can walk into any room and be confident in what you do and don't know. That's the biggest issue is everybody's afraid of what they don't know and they're not confident what they do know. So that's the first part is if you're going to go into this and you're going to meet with a new person, meet with a new client, go after a new market, and you're introducing yourself to a new echelon of clients, be confident in what you do and don't know. Then the next, so like the assumptive mindset, we'll call that the tactic there. Now, what do you actually do to break the ice once you get into this conversation with somebody? And there's three main things that I suggest doing when you're creating a new relationship, a new talk track, specifically in person when you're with somebody. The first thing you want to do is you want to ask them a question. The second thing you want to do is compliment something about them, their environment, or the situation. Third, you want to set a time domain for that specific meeting. So when you do that, that conversation base looks like, hey,
so
Ryan.
Let's role play
this. Let's role play this, Ryan.
What do you want to be? What do you want to sell me?
I'm selling you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll sell you a remodel.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm remodeling actually, this is true. So if there's anybody out there and wants to come give me a quote, I would love to get my master bathroom redone.
I have plenty of people I can refer to you.
Well, let's give them this role play.
Okay. So I'd walk in, hey Ryan, how's it going today?
It's going well.
Man, what do you think about this weather?
This is the best weather I have seen in North Carolina
Dude,
in a while.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, I really love the way your kitchen's laid out. Did you do this recently?
No, but we just got the cabinets repainted, which has made it look completely new.
Man, that makes a huge difference in here.
We agree.
So this is great. So I'm excited about looking at your master bathroom. I just want to let you know I have about a 45-minute hard stop so I can get to my next meeting on time. Does that work for you?
Yeah, perfect.
Great. So that right to end role play. So that right there is how you
and begin role play.
So that is how you break the ice in a way that makes it you a real person, It makes you interact with them in a non-threatening way, because that client specifically, they're looking to spend on a master bathroom $20,000 to $30,000. Realistically, it's a full gut. If it's a full gut bathroom, I haven't seen your bathroom, but
It's a full gut.
so 20 or 30 grand is likely the budget.
It's a nice bathroom, but it's too small, so we need to rework everything.
Yeah, so maybe more than that. Anyway, they're gonna write you a big check, right? So
no, I'm not.
There, so I don't have anybody to refer to you. No, but ultimately, what they want to know is they can put their guard down, and asking them a question, giving them a compliment, allows them to talk about themselves, and nobody likes anything more than talking about themselves. Period.
That's it.
So then you set the time domain, so that allows you to bridge from the human conversation into now I am walking you through my sales process, and you click them into, okay, now I'm here to answer your questions.
And it also puts it, you're in charge.
Yeah, 100%.
So rather than the client being in charge and walking you through, when you say, well, what can I do for you? And they're the ones in charge showing you around. You're the one asking the leading questions. You take charge, and you're the one directing the conversation rather than them.
So you've broken the ice, but then you've also reeled them back in, because a lot of times what I see contractors miss is they go in, they break the ice, they have a great conversation, and that conversation turns to an hour and a half about their dog. Right, or an hour and a half about their last contractor experience, or an hour and a half of you not getting what you need out of that meeting. So the minute you transition into, okay, I have a 45-minute hard stop to get to my next meeting on time, you switch their mindset into, okay, let me make sure he gets what he needs, because he's clearly a professional here.
And also, he has another meeting. Wow, he's busy.
Yeah, I mean, all positive things. But ultimately, what I think a lot of people miss is they walk in, hey, how's it going? Show me around. You want to build a rapport with them quickly, and that same compliment / question technique works just as well in a networking event. Like when you're like afraid, you're in a room full of people you don't know, walk up, ask somebody a question. How is your week? How's your goals going? What's happening in your business right now? Give them a compliment. Man, I love that jacket. Where'd you get that?
Or even if you want to take this to the next level, whenever you go into a place and you don't know anybody, do a little research of the people that you think are going to be in the room and try and find some of their stuff on social media or on their website. That way you can go in and say, hey, I was checking out your website and I noticed that you had XYZ. It looked really good.
Yeah.
Who did that for you? And now you've got a really good
that's a
conversation
huge compliment about something they probably put a lot of time and effort into. That's specifically in the B2B world. Yeah, you don't want to like check somebody's personal Instagram like, man, I saw you hammered at that party last weekend. Don't do that for an initial break the ice conversation.
Well, it might work.
Depends on the
person.
environment. Depends on the environment. But ultimately, guys, you want to have the confident, assumptive mindset when you walk in that you are the right person for the job. And then you want to break the ice with a compliment, a question, and a time sensitivity set. What that does is it transitions the client from that initial 3 to 5 minute break the ice conversation into a, hey, it's time to get down to business. I'm here for a reason. Let's get this figured out. So this is, like I said, used very particularly in person. But what a lot of people miss, and I think is an underutilized technique in the marketplace right now, is you can similarly break the ice with a new marketplace or clientele through social media with content, and ultimately through storytelling.
So I did this for the law firm. Come in, 0 social media presence. Your typical lawyer, old white guys, typical lawyers. And so
I have a degree on the wall. Bring me business.
There you go. No website that was done in 1999, very, very general law firm, whatever. And so what I did is I made a strategy for Facebook to be educational. On our Facebook page, everything was educational. So we were doing 60-second clips of a problem, solution, benefit. Here's the problem you're going through, here's the facts about it, and here's the benefit to do that solution. And then on our Instagram page, there was 0 education. There was no education whatsoever, but what we did was we humanized lawyers, because lawyers have a lower approval rate than Congress. People hate lawyers because they're really, really bad in their marketing, because all they ever do is sell, and they chase people around.
Yeah.
And so when we come in and it's like, hey, attorney, tell me about your kids in college. Tell me about your favorite football team. What's your favorite experience from your travel? And we started building all of this, and I would start doing questions with a lawyer. Just ask them silly questions, because all we had to do was make them relatable and enjoyable. And now when you compare lawyers with a 8% approval rating, and you have these guys who are fun, who would you want to work with? If all other lawyers are the same, but then you have these guys that are actually enjoyable because of their Instagram, it's been a no-brainer. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, only through video advertising, these guys made about $1 million in additional revenue in 1 year.
So take their revenue increase out of it. What I don't want the listener to overlook is you make it relatable.
Right.
And when you make it relatable, your story is not as unique as you think it is.
Oh.
And a lot of people, when you're speaking your story, they're picturing their story in their head. And they're seeing you alongside them with that story, i.e., favorite football team, kids in college. In the construction world, like, are you tired of not being able to bring guests over because you're embarrassed of your kitchen? Are you tired of not being able to host family because you don't have space? Are you growing family, you don't have the square footage, and you don't know what to do? These are stories of problems that you understand that your target client is also thinking about. And when you start orating or talking about the problems that you solve on video, people listening are then putting themselves into that story and then seeing themselves solve that problem because you've walked them down the story trail of problem, cause, solution, benefit.
Here's a really good one that I like using. You know, when you find your target demographic, so let's use you for an example, Mike. Your target demographic is a construction industry business owner, correct? So psychographic-wise, or what do you find these guys are doing on the weekends? What do they enjoy doing after work? What are some of their hobbies?
For the most part, it's hunting, fishing, sports.
So if Mike and I were out here trying to create something to make him relatable, because Mike is not really a hunter or a fisher. He might go and dabble, but
not at all.
Okay.
No dabbling.
Yeah, okay, zero dabble.
Zero dabble.
But theoretically, if we went and had Mike casting off a fishing pole in a boat, talking about his business and what he can do for you, you would grab much more attention with your target audience because it's things that they can relate to.
No, a great example I use for my clients is bike groups.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, unfortunately, like, biking is not a cheap hobby. It's an expensive hobby. Bikes can range from $5,000 to $50,000 for road bikes, like pedal road bikes. And if you know that, like, hey, you've had 2 or 3 projects from that similar community or area, and you realize that the psychographic of that person is 2 of them are part of a bike club, marketing towards bike clubs is a great idea.
Or getting in the bike club and doing an event with them.
Yeah,
just
like
sponsoring it.
Right. So, like, that is the example we're using of telling the story that the client, your target client, can relate to.
Right.
Is how you break the ice. If you talk about you first, please fucking stop doing this.
Yes. Nobody cares about you.
No one cares you've been in business for 50 years. No one cares you have integrity. No one cares that you operate with the utmost certainty. Everybody says that.
Right.
Stop telling people about yourself. Start telling people about themselves, and you'll get them 99% faster.
Here's probably the hardest question. You know, I do a bunch of brand videos, and so we've got to create a brand video that stands out, that's unique against any market. The hardest question for every business owner to answer: what makes you different from anybody else just like you? So, Mike, what makes you different from other business consultants that are in the construction industry? That's called your USP, your unique selling proposition. So you have to know your USP. What is yours? Do you know?
I do.
What is it?
So I've been in sales and sales leadership for 15 years, and I spent 6 years of that in the trenches selling the same projects you're trying to sell.
So when you hear that versus somebody saying, I've been in sales for 15 years, it's a completely different message that you're telling, and it's made you stand out. It's made you separate yourself from any other person that's doing exactly what you do. And that resonates with people.
It does, because it legitimizes, it gives me credibility.
Right. And most people started in the trenches if they're a business owner. They understand what it took to be in the trenches, doing the work, selling, and really getting after it. And so you're super relatable with your target audience. And if we were creating a brand video, we would do it while you're fishing, while you're hunting, while you're playing sports, or having that type of stuff B-rolled, hanging out with your son, playing sports. That's perfect. Literally going fishing with your son, talking about this story of who you are and how you can help the client. That's your brand video.
Yeah.
Because you are super relatable to everybody in your industry.
Yeah.
And so our people that are listening,
but that breaks the ice. Like the simple image of a man on a boat with a fishing rod
and his son Done.
What that does is, from the break the ice perspective that we're talking about, it gets them to click it and absorb it.
Right.
If it doesn't, you broke the ice by giving them something that they relate to.
Right. It's making you relatable.
And that's, guys, that is
and
powerful.
Here, with most of our listeners being in the construction industry, it's difficult for you guys to understand. Generally, the decision maker is a female, which you are not relatable to that female. However, if you can
vice versa, you're actually scary to them.
Right. So you need to think of the things that makes them tick. What are the things that they enjoy doing that they can relate to you, saying you do the same thing?
So are you saying Tiffany's making the decision on this bathroom remodel?
Oh, she would be.
I'll give you her number.
She would be for sure. I would be the final decision maker to say yes or no, probably, but she would be the one to pick the person. And then it would just be me giving a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But when we're thinking about how to break the ice with those people, you relating to my wife, if 17 contractors come up, the one that brings her a bottle of wine and maybe DM'd her and said, hey, before I come in, what kind of wine do you drink? Because that's super relatable. And if you brought her a white wine when you walked in, no matter what you said, you'd probably get the job because you've been relatable.
You've earned the right to charge what you want to charge.
Right.
You earned the right to control the relationship because you came in confidently because you did a little bit of research. And this goes all the way back to identifying. I mean, I preach and preach and preach and preach and preach and preach and preach about identifying your ideal client market. If you don't do that, everything we just talked about is bullshit because you're not prepared for it. You don't have it. If everybody with floors is a good client for me, you can't do what we're talking about. You can't relate to them because it's impossible to relate to everybody. Right. For every one person that likes you for who you are, there are 3 people who don't. Mm-hmm. Start focusing on the one that does, and you'll win a larger percentage of your projects, period.
Right. Oh, I mean, that's probably the hardest. Those are the 2 hardest things for business owners, anyone I work with. Number 1, who do you work for? Who is your target client? Everybody. Bullshit. It's not everybody. It can't be everybody because you talk to everybody not the same way. Men are talked to differently than women. They have different interests. Everyone, younger, higher income.
But let's just say for devil's argument, for the guy on the other end of this listener right now saying, well, I could help everybody. If every project in Charlotte said, I'm hiring you right now, you would buckle and you would fuck up and you would go bankrupt. So you physically can't help everybody. Even if you think your skill set is, oh man, I can help everybody. I don't give a shit. You don't want every client in town. You don't want every project in town. You don't want every project and client that fits the mold.
And also, you've got to niche down into a very specific group because it's kind of building that raving fan. It's building that referral base because if you can get intertwined into one group, there's a study out there. There was an attorney. I read this at, I don't know, some magazine, but he was the attorney for, I want to say Somalians. He got in with a niche group, the little Somalia in whatever city this was. And they made $3.5 million in legal fees in 1 year. Just because of that, his previous year was $180,000 because he helped one guy. And he said, we're always looking for attorneys with, coming into the country and that kind of stuff. And we always need help, and we're very tight-knit.
Immigration attorney?
Yeah, immigration attorney. There we go.
You're struggling with words today, man.
We don't have that at the law firm that I help.
Gotcha. Yeah, immigration isn't very rarely used word.
Yeah, that's a lot of syllables for me. But, it was the getting in with a very small group, and if his messaging said, I only work with, or I help Somalians get into the country, then he's going to build his following very, very quickly and easily. But the thing is,
but then he breaks the ice with the right people.
But Italians aren't going to not call him. They're going to say, well, if you can help the Somalians, you can help me too.
And that's the part I think most people, just because you're not saying you want other projects doesn't mean you're not going to get access to them.
Right.
Like if you say like, hey, I only do full kitchen remodels, and someone's still going to call you for other things. Mm-hmm. But it helps you break the ice properly. We keep going back to that because we're a little off topic, but it all makes sense. It all wraps together.
I get excited.
We all do. But if you
struggling today,
it's a lot easier to break the ice with a specific target market than it is with everybody always.
Right.
Because when you do that, you're very vanilla. You're very broad. You can't be specific.
Breaking the ice
every single time.
Right.
And guys, it's impossible. Like ladies, it's impossible. It's not physically no marketing expert in the world says, do this video and everybody's going to want to hire you. It's not real. It doesn't work that way. And if you're afraid of losing clients and you're being broader, you are losing more opportunities than you're saving.
Right.
Like 100%.
I go through this. I do brand video marketing. I can literally help anybody that owns a business. I can help anybody that owns a business, but I don't say that. And I've gone through it with people in the construction industry because they say, well, my industry is different. Have you ever worked with someone like this? And every single industry says the same thing. And the truth is you're not different, but I have to continually break the ice. But if I already had done something in that industry, it's like, no, I have worked with, 6 HVAC people and 1 roofer. Then they'd be, oh, okay, you understand my industry. But that's the breaking the ice.
Yep.
So
because you're becoming relative,
right? So
and relatable.
You've got to continue
because it takes the fear out.
Right.
The reason someone says that is because they're afraid to make a mistake on you.
Right.
It's a check the box. Because very rarely do they say, "Well, can I see it?"
And that makes you relatable.
But do they ever say, "Can I see the work you did for them?" No, they just want to know you did it.
Yeah.
It's a relatable. It's a break the ice. Yeah. It's a get that guard down, overcome or avoid that objection because you have some proof, regardless of quality. Mm-hmm. If you said, yeah, I've worked with HVAC companies, okay, cool.
Yeah. And another simple way we can do this is, we're always preaching social media video because it's the simplest, easiest, quickest thing to do. Finish a project, go put your arm around the client that you just finished the project, and take a video with them for your Instagram story and say, how was this project? And they're not going to say anything bad while you're on there with them. So now you're going to be able to see this person who's going to look just like somebody else, and they're going to say, wow, that person's just like me, and they just had a great experience. So now you're getting a minor client testimonial where people can, once again, be relatable and see you interacting with that person. And so it's just helping put your brand in front of the right people and allow people to see who you work with.
Wrapping it up. Be confident. Assume the sale. Assume you're in the right place. Assume you have the right client. Assume you can produce the project the way they want to see it. Break the ice with that person. Give a compliment. Ask a question. Set a time domain for that first meeting. It puts you in control. It breaks the ice. It makes you relatable, and it makes you appear and in actual be the professional in the relationship. When it comes to online marketing, video content, blog content, any copy content.
Tell a story.
Tell a story
they can relate to.
Align to a specific market or clientele. Relate your content first to the problem, then the reason they're experiencing it, how you solve it, and the benefit they get from it. I use the equation problem, cause, solution, benefit. I think you use problem, cause, benefit.
No, I skip cause. Problem, solution, benefit.
Problem, solution, benefit. So, because I think when it comes to telling the story, a lot of times people view the cause as the problem.
Right. That's why I skip it.
Yeah. So
it's kind of the same.
It is, but when you get specific to a marketplace, the problem is not they don't like their kitchen. Like the problem is not they don't like their cabinets.
No, their problem is they can't have parties at their house.
The problem is they can't have
parties.
Or
they don't want to have parties at their
because
house.
The difference is the cause is never the emotional part of it. The problem is the emotional part. The cause is what's causing the emotion.
I have an ugly kitchen is the cause.
Correct.
And the emotional problem is, well, because of that, I cannot have parties over my house.
I can't have parties. I can't host family for Thanksgiving.
Or my kitchen is not open.
Yeah.
That's the true problem. And the cause is I don't like my kitchen, or, we're trying to
see. I would say in that case, the problem is you can't fit your entire family at the dinner table.
Yeah.
The cause is because that wall's in the way.
Yeah.
So because
you can keep getting more and more specific, and the more and more specific you get, generally you're going to have a better message.
The easier it is to break the ice.
Right.
So, and that's why I break those two out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so when you're breaking the ice with online content, start with the problem, relate it to a cause, present some sort of a solution and the benefit if they implement that solution. When you do it that way, you don't start with yourself. Please stop telling people about you.
Unless you're telling a story that has nothing to do with your industry, just so you can be relatable.
Don't talk about yourself, ever.
If you go out there and say, hey, guys, I just wanted to talk about my month in review, and it had nothing to do with this, or you say,
I guess that's fair.
I want to talk about doing the 75 hard challenge.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
okay, I was looking at it differently. Don't talk about your business first.
There you go.
Don't talk about your solution
You can
first.
talk about yourself if it's going to make you humanized so that somebody can relate to you.
In a content, you can talk about a personal experience of yours all you want.
There you go.
If you're out there trying to break the ice with a new clientele or a new marketplace, do not talk about your business, what differentiates you, your value-added prospect, your value-added message, your elevator pitch. They don't care.
They only want to know the benefit.
They only want to know how you're going to solve their problems.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in business...
We're selfish people.
But if you're in business, you are a problem solver.
That's all you are.
Pitt, that's it. You're a problem solver. And if you don't understand the problems you solve, you're going to fail.